discussing about the various components in a financial system. And we said that financial system mainly includes financial institutions, which will be acting as the intermediary between the savers and the borrowers, and the whole process that is happening in a financial market. And we also said that financial market can be categorized into or there are two types. It can be money market and capital market. That's where we stop. We are just moving little ahead. We added, this is actually the circulation of fund between the various components within a financial system, because they all are connected. And if I say that they are watertight containers, that may not be right. They are all very much connected, and the existence of one is needed for the existence and efficient functioning of other. That's how it happens in the entire system. That's why we say that it is the whole process will be a systematic transactions that is happening between these bodies. Now, we are just talking from the actual, the perspective of how it happens in a market. Normally, in every market, the financial system can be categorized into two. Okay, why? Because based on the kind of regulatories, based on the kind of operations that is happening in the market, and also the type of practices prevailing in the market, we can say that financial system can be of two types. One is formal financial system, where we talk about banks, where we talk about insurance corporations, where there is presence of non-banking companies, there is presence of regulators. All these that come as a formal financial system. And there is also, even though our government is trying a lot to bring the informal sector into into the direct purview of their regulation and control, still in our country there exists another system called informal system, which might be like the rural, which might be more in rural sectors, where we talk about money lenders or other type of people who go with people, as well as institutions who go with financial transactions, but they are not directly brought under the control of the regulatory bodies. And why, as a system, people go for those people? We will say that the chit funds, the private chit funds, or which are not registered as such. If they are registered, they will directly come into the formal system. But there are people who go with the money lending business without registering as local, serving the needs of people of the locality. So such people normally come under the category of informal sector. So even though we talk about the regulations, the control, and the other aspects, there is one small part which cater to the need of the people, but not under the direct control of the government. Those system is called as informal financial system. And normally it is out of relationship. So that is why some advantages of this is, based on your track record, you are being given a facility or a service by these informal sector. So the type of default will be comparatively lower, because it's a small group of people who are involved in such type of transactions. And low transaction cost means there is no intermediary. So definitely the entry fees, the commission, the charges, all these are absent in this sector. But the greatest disadvantage is it is out of the control of the regulatory body. So the type of return, or as you say, the interest charged by these people vary significantly. And if your credibility or if your credit score is very low, you might be charged with very high interest rate, leading to the exploitation of customers, taking the benefit of the, as you say, the unfavorable condition of a particular customer. So that is because they are unregulated, there is no uniform standard. They actually set the standard for their operation. And India as a nation is trying to bring the whole into the formal financial system. In the near future, we will be going with such a system where the presence of informal sector is almost nil, right? So, but presently, when we are discussing about a financial system, we can say that there is one formal sector which comes under the direct control of the government, and there is one informal sector which is in a way are outside the preview of the direct control of the government and other regulatory bodies. So that's a type of financial system. Now I'm going to show you a diagram which will include most of the components, but there is space limitation. So maybe, but this diagram will include most of the components of a financial system, which we are going to discuss in our class. Okay. And of course, when you talk about the financial system, this is something. And if you want, you can expand, like every unit can be still being explained, still being divided, because the system is very complex. It's very large, right? But still broadly, when you look at the heads, you can find all these in the Indian financial system. So I'm just going to take one by one. Some of you have drawn it excellently well. I would be taking that once we finish this, okay? And I'm talking about Indian financial system, where I said there are two parts to that. One is, as you say, the formal organized sector, and this part you have the as you say, unorganized sector. Yeah. So we are going with the explanation to the formal or as we say, organized financial system. Okay. We have a formal sector as well as an informal sector. We are specifically looking into how is it in a formal sector or in an organized sector. Okay. Now, as we can see here, the formal sector includes regulators. The regulators are the controllers who lay down policies and regulations for the efficient functioning of the system. And these regulators will include Ministry of Finance, SEBI, that is what MOF, Ministry of Finance, Security Exchange Board of India, Reserve Bank of India, Insurance Regulatory and Development Corporation, IRDA, and there are a lot more. But for the time being, we understand that there are regulators, a few examples being put here. Okay. Now the next part, which we know, actually we had discussed this, which we know is financial institutions. And these financial institutions, they are basically the intermediaries who facilitate the transfer of money, who facilitate channelizing of fund from the savers to the people, actually the individuals or corporations who are in need of it. So financial institutions. And these financial institutions can be categorized as banking institution, non-banking institutions, mutual fund, insurance companies, housing development corporations. And if you want, you can expand a little more. But I wanted to limit to these. So broadly, we can say that it consists of banking institution, non-banking institutions, and we can add mutual fund, insurance corporations, housing finance corporations, or housing finance companies. So these are the different types of financial intermediaries who help in channelizing the fund. Now we know the role of banks, right? Banks accept deposit and they actually go with the lending function, thereby channelizing the fund, right? And banks, of course, we have broadly learned as the scheduled and non-scheduled banks. And scheduled itself, they have scheduled commercial banks, cooperative banks. And in that, we have learned as public sector banks, private sector banks, foreign banks, regional rural banks. All these we have finished learning, right? So that category of banking institutions. Then the non-banking, actually, they cater to the needs of the people, but they cannot go with accepting deposits which are repayable on demand. They render services very much similar to a bank, but they are not registered as a banking company. And under the Banking Regulation Act 1949, accordingly, they cannot accept deposits which are repayable on demand. Okay, and non-banking finance companies include a lot of chit funds companies and lot of pension funds, and you have other category development finance institutions like SIDBI, IDBI, which looks into a specific sector. Say SIDBI is Small Industries Development Bank of India, which looks into the development of small and medium industries in the country. IDBI, Industry Development Bank of India, which takes care of the development of the industrial sector by providing finance to them. So those will be brought under the category of non-banking financial institutions. So non-banking financial institutions can be categorized into two. One is non-banking finance companies and development finance companies. And development finance companies, they are specifically looking into one sector and aiming at the development of that sector. Okay. Then if you look into the financial intermediaries, we have mutual funds. And when you look at the mutual fund industry, it can come under the government sector, that is public sector or private sector. Public sector and private sector, as for example, if you look at SBI, they come up with mutual fund, which can be said as it comes under the public sector. HDFC Bank, they also bring different mutual funds, which can be called as those coming up in the private sector. Okay, then next we have insurance companies. You are very sure of it. If we want, we can also split that into public and private, because there are insurance companies that come under the public sector as well as private sector. Then we have specialized institutions that are helping people for owning a home, a house for themselves. We have housing development corporations, different housing finance companies, Kerala Finance Corporations. All these indirectly, they are contributing to financing the requirement depending on the need of the people. So all these together are called as financial institutions or intermediaries. Right. So first we talked about regulators, then we are discussing about financial institutions, right? Next is we had said about financial markets. Financial markets, as we said, it can be broadly categorized into capital market and money market based on the maturity of the instruments that are being dealt in the market. Capital market basically leads with long-term, those instruments which are having a maturity period of more than 1 year, one or more than 1 year. And of course, money market, just the reverse, when the maturity period of the instruments are limited to less than 1 year, it will be brought under the category of money market. Again, when we go with the specific classification of capital market, we can see that capital market being divided into equity market and debt market. Because equity market, they meet the demand, they meet the capital requirement of a company, whereas debt market, the money that goes into that will constitute the debt structure in a company. Say, for example, if I'm lending money as a loan, that will come in the debt market. But if I am participating, buying a share in a company, that comes under equity, because I am being given with a unit of ownership. So that is where we talk about the equity market and debt market, which both are part of capital market. Say I have put that. And again, equity market can be called as primary market, secondary market. And of course, if we want, we can take separately derivative market. We are actually learning all these, right? The next part is we are going with the learning of primary market. So primary market is the place where every investment is brought to the first time in the market. Say, for example, when a company is going for share issue, first it will come into the public issue. That is, the share can be directly offered to the public by advertising the prospectus. That is called as red herring prospectus. So the share is brought to the market by issue, by public issue. That will be brought in the newspaper, and public will be subscribing through that to that. But only thing is that we cannot directly subscribe to that. We can subscribe through an intermediary. As I said, like a share broker, we can only subscribe to that through that. Sometimes it is possible for us to directly send a whole thing, like as we say, the application, share application, but there will be other intermediaries who will be facilitating this transaction, as we call investment bankers to the issues. There are different types of intermediaries still present in between the company and the public. So what we have to understand is, when the share is or when an investment is brought first time into the market, we say that it happens in a primary market. And the secondary market actually exists to provide liquidity to the investments. Say the best example is stock market. So I bought some shares in the primary market. Maybe tomorrow or after 1 year, I want to dispose the share. So for me, the best option is selling it to the stock market. So that is why we have the presence of a secondary market. Every issue that has happened in the secondary market that has happened in the primary market may or may not come to the secondary market. But if it is coming, definitely it is coming to the secondary market, or as we say, it can be, I have listed out the major players in the secondary market. Can be National Stock Exchange, Bombay Stock Exchange, over-the-counter exchange of India, that is OTCI, or Indian International Stock Exchange, regional stock exchanges, basically stock exchanges. Okay, and primary market can include public issues and private placement. We talked about private placement at the beginning itself, right? When the savers and borrowers are directly connected to each other, when they come into an agreement, and when money is, when that option or offer to invest is offered, is open to only a specified group of people. It's not open to all, as we call in the case of public issue. It is open to only a few people. The company wants to limit its ownership to few people. In that case, it will happen in the case of private placement. We will come to detailed discussion about all these. This is just an introduction. And then private placement can happen in the domestic market or international market. When the parties, when the registered office of the parties who are making the investment is outside the country, then we call that as an international market. So equity market, it will be primary and secondary. And this primary, again, what you have to remember is, whenever there is an issue, it's first brought into the primary market and then only to the secondary market. And same as the debt market also will be having a primary market and a secondary market. Whenever I'm talking about a bond, first time it can happen, the bond can be issued in a primary market, and later the transactions, the selling, the buying, everything is set to happen in a secondary market. And then the third one is derivative market. Maybe it is part of this itself, the long-term and short-term market, but derivative here, the difference here is it is futures market. You might have heard about options, swaps, or as we say, futures, forward. All these are derivative instruments where the value of the asset is derived from the underlying asset, which we will discuss. It might be confusing for you to hear it at the first time, but that is otherwise called as, just summarize it like this, it is otherwise called as futures market, which talks about hedging the risk to another party. Because we know that future there is a risk of fluctuation in the price of the assets. Today I buy a share at 100 rupees, but tomorrow it can become 600 or 700. Who knows? Maybe it can also become 50 rupees or 10 rupees or maybe 1 rupee. So that is the risk due to fluctuation in the price of an asset. Future market is used to hedge, to secure against that risk of fluctuation in assets. Till there you can understand. Later we are going to learn that in detail. So derivative market, and finally, when we talk about the money market, we'll stop with this. Okay, money market. There, the securities which are having a maturity period of less than 1 year is being dealt, and some of the instruments in primary market, I mean, in money market includes the treasury bills which are issued by government bodies, call money market, the commercial those securities that are issued by commercial banks, or as we say, commercial bills or commercial papers, certificate of deposits. All this will be forming part of certificate of deposits are issued by companies for meeting their short-term requirement, and all these will be forming part of the, as we call, the money market. Okay, so we discussed till here this part. So we started with Indian financial system. We said Indian financial system can be broadly categorized into a formal sector and an informal sector. Then we started discussion with the components in a formal financial system. We said first part, you can think about the regulators who are actually framing the policies and who are controlling the transactions which are happening in a formal financial system. In fact, they have control in the informal system also, but may not be directly, because these people are not registered with any of the government bodies. So the control is limited. Sometimes they may not know that this particular group is operating as a operating by rendering some service. So that's a problem over there. Then we talked about financial institutions, and these financial institutions broadly can be categorized into banking, non-banking, mutual funds, and insurance and housing finance corporation. If you want, as I said, no, you can expand little, but just to avoid the complication, we kept it like that. And then we talked about financial, in the market, financial market. Financial market can be broadly categorized into capital market and money market based on the maturity of the securities that are being dealt in the market. And then capital market again can be categorized into equity market and debt market. Equity market, it takes care of the capital requirement of a company, and debt market deals with the debt structure of a company. Debt structure means it's a loan which needs to be repaid when it is when on maturity, whereas equity capital is having little more long-term impact on a company because it is ownership capital. And again, equity market can be categorized into primary market and secondary market, same as debt market can be categorized into primary market and secondary market. Primary market is otherwise called as new issue market, where every security is brought for the first time. It will be first issued in the primary market and then taken to the secondary market. We also talked about different types of types of investments that can happen in capital market and money market.